This is, so we've got everybody almost here. Yeah, we got everybody here. So here is our Volvo 2015 V60. To summarize what we looked at last time, we removed the exhaust VVT actuator and we bench tested it. We applied voltage to it right here on the bench. We felt it click. We washed it open. And then we said, well, let's put a new one in it. Well, we couldn't really see it open, but we felt it clicking. But let's put a new one in it because we were unsure of if a new one got installed in it. We believed that there was not a new one in it. Anyways, we put a new one in, and we still have our same code, P0014, which is, Gianni, do you know what the code definition is?
Exhaust cam over advanced.
Exhaust cam over advanced. So then we've got a whole bunch of test equipment hooked up to this car right now, and we are watching. Oh, hey Eric, are you on the Pico? Can you share?
No, I'm screwing with TeamViewer right now.
Okay.
I had to uninstall it and I'm reinstalling it,
Okay.
which is not helpful at all.
Okay, so you're on. Okay, so ideally, then that way you can watch from your screen when we fire this thing up.
Yeah.
But we just did a bunch of testing. The one test we did, we were getting a capture, and then there was too much ripple there was too much waviness in the square wave signal. So that was a problem. And I could bring that up right here. I don't know, Jax, can you share the screen on the Pico that I'm on the main screen?
No, but we can get that computer hooked up. Just give me 1 second.
Oh, use the TeamViewer there and pull it up. I'm downloading right now.
Jax, you put the Pico on our main screen? Oh. But anyways, if everybody looks over real quick, I just wanted to show you what a bad capture looks like. We don't have to spend too much time on it.
Okay.
Jax is messing with it.
Looks like okay. I got that. Let's see here. I can probably jump in there right now. Okay. Oh no. TeamViewer is so frustrating.
If everybody looks at this laptop real quick, this is what a bad capture looks like. Hey, Eric, you need an ID and a password?
Oh, did it change?
Something just popped up.
Yeah, that'd be me.
I can read it out to you.
Okay, hold on a second. Your password's probably 487. Oh, I just shut down. Something's installing right now, so I don't know.
All right.
I'll be. If you just here, let me take the password down right now because the ID should be the same, right? It's the 480 machine.
Yeah, 480 something something.
Yeah,
487 4498.
Yep.
And the password is J52ZKAP2.
Okay. So when it comes up and starts working, I will.
Okay. So this is what a bad capture looks like, because it should be a square wave signal, and we were getting lots of, this is the oscilloscope monitoring the 3 wires. So like a ground, a 5-volt reference, and a sensor signal. So you could see the signals are all over the place. For example, this green line is from negative 1.9 volts to negative 3.3 volts. This red line is from 3 volts to 1.7. And this blue line is 1.8 to negative 1.5. We're just looking for 0, 5, and then a square wave signal, right? But we're getting these numbers that were all over. That's just because it was on a funky ground. It was on an improper ground. Okay, so now if we come over to our good one, this is what it should look like. So we are having an exhaust valve retardation problem, exhaust cam retard problem.
It's over advanced, right?
Yeah, over advanced problem. So what we did then is now we have the wire. So we have one intake cam sensor wire on the screen that we're about to start right now. I'm just going to actually go ahead and fire it up right now.
Could I just clarify real quick? This is the 2-liter inline 4 turbocharged engine, correct?
Correct.
It's a half year for 2015.
It's a 2015. You want the build date on it?
I'm just trying to determine. This engine is the B40 4204. Sorry.
Let me see if there's a number on the side of the timing cover here.
But not the 60.
Serial number.
Should be in the engine class on the emissions label.
On the emission label.
Yeah.
Group 2 FVVXVO 2.0 U3T evap.
No, that's not it then.
ULEV.
Just trying to
T2B5. I don't see anything there.
Okay, so it's, you got 3 engine options: the B6304, the B5254, and the 4204. So I'm just trying to follow along where we're going. Gianni, know?
Gianni, do you know? He ran to his computer to go find out.
Okay, he left the building. All right, never
It's
come
a
back.
4204. Gianni says it's a 4204.
Okay, all right, perfect. Thank you.
So, okay. So then what we did is we're monitoring the crankshaft signal at this connector right here. We're monitoring the intake cam signal at this connector right here. We're monitoring the exhaust at this connector, the exhaust cam sensor. And then we're also monitoring ignition 1, the small wire of the 3 ignition 1 coil pack, ignition coil pack. So, and then what we're doing is then we also have the Autel hooked up, and we're going to activate the VVT on the intake and the exhaust. And then we're going to watch it move away, so the one thing so the crankshaft is always spinning at the same rate, right? And then when you activate the intake cam, it moves away or before or after the crank. And then the same thing with the exhaust, it moves before or after the crank, right? So we just decided to try it out this way. So We could do just a live test real quick and we can show everybody what we
Yeah.
found. Let me get rid of this. Are you on the Pico now? Yeah, okay. You got the Pico. Okay, let me get rid of this.
Or Jack's got it. Jack's put it up there. I'm not in there yet.
What's the yellow wire on? Okay, that's on the crank. We're going to tell this that it has an attenuator.
So in fact, was that, did it need the attenuator?
I don't think it actually needed the attenuator because it had a really low voltage on it.
Okay.
It was kind of like it was just like an on-off voltage.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
didn't
little square wave.
Little square wave, and it didn't rise very high. I didn't really pay too much attention to it, but I just figured because I didn't actually pay too much attention to it, and I don't know the actual voltage, I'll just leave it on because I don't know what it actually.
Yeah, you won't need it, but that's the thing. If you're coming into, I wasn't sure. I was talking to Nico. I wasn't sure about Volvo if they were using coil packs similar to Volkswagen Audi, where the driver is in the coil itself, where it just takes the engine control module, throws out a little square wave for ignition timing, for the ignition event to occur, and not knowing if it was using that style or the style like BMW. Just better safe than sorry. If you're not sure, put an attenuator on there. I've watched it happen. Volkswagen guy coming over to like an E36, 3 Series, and he's like, I'm just going to measure this ignition event, this timing pulse. I'm like, hey, that's actual primary voltage. You might want to put an attenuator. Like, nah, I got it. But damn, there goes the scope. It's because that's 500 volts as opposed to 5 volts. So when we're not sure and you're messing with the secondary ignition, just put an attenuator on that line just in case. So if it looks like this only has the driver built in, so it's just going to be a small square wave.
Okay, cool. So let's here, Gianni, why don't you fire it up for me, and then we'll we'll make sure that our captures are all good, and then we'll do that activation and we'll watch it. Our blue signal. Okay, yeah, there we go. Yeah, there's our attenuated blue signal, and it doesn't look like it's got. Yeah, it's got like 5 volts on it. Okay, so we could take that. We could take the attenuator off now, or we leave it on now, whichever. So if we go ahead and pay attention to the screen and then go ahead and activate the inlet. So we're going to activate the inlet. Wait until the screen changes, because right now it's idling. Then you're going to activate it to 100%. Go ahead and do it now. We're on waveform 3. All right. We're going to stop it right there. Okay. And so over here, so that was the intake?
Yes.
Okay, so the intake is our red. Can you shut the engine off just so I can hear? So if we go back one waveform and we go to the screen, so this is how we kind of did it here. The intake is the red. So we took the leading edge of, move this around. We took the leading edge of this guy right here, where this opens and closes.
Okay.
Or where it goes down and grounds for the longest time, and then it goes back up, and then there's like 3 humps right here, and then it starts over again. And then we take this edge, we just go to the leading edge of the crank right there.
And the crank is yeah, right there.
Right there on the crank signal. Okay. That's on the yellow. That's on the yellow line down here.
Yep.
We've got 38 milliseconds. of time, which is a little bit different than what we had before. But it's also cold and warming up too. So then, because it was 28 before.
Oh, 28 without actually.
Yeah, without. Yeah. So here, we're just going to go to waveform 2. So that's a little bit different number, but we're going to try it here. So then on waveform 3, I'm just dragging this zoom bar over here. Somewhere down here, we know it was activated. We'll go to that same number right there and go to this same number right here, the leading edge right here. And that was at 28. So it's 28 when it's, maybe we're backwards. Yeah, so it's 28 milliseconds of time between the crankshaft and the intake shaft when it was, or the difference is what, 28 minus 35? 37? What was the number what was our other number from the last screen? It was 38. So we have a 10 millisecond difference between when the intake is activated and when the intake is not activated in comparison to the crankshaft, right? So the crankshaft and camshaft have a 10 millisecond difference. So the timing definitely changed on the intake side when we commanded it on.
And
Did you guys also?
It became, it was less, right? It reduced time.
Yeah, less time on the activation. Yes.
Okay.
Because we were at 28 milliseconds. So then, if we do this, and did you guys hear the engine? If the engine went up or down, did it go up or down?
The RPM.
I'm with Jose. It changed. I think okay. Yeah. Yep. It was a little bit rougher. All right. And so then we can kind of start this guy all over again. And we want to go fire. So we're going to fire it up here. And then we're going to do the same thing with the exhaust. You got the exhaust ready? Nice. All right. Cool. All right. So it's running. And go ahead and activate the exhaust. Okay, so the exhaust is activated now. Stop. I'm going to stop this. Go ahead and shut it off. So on the screen back here, on our first waveform screen, something happened with our crank signal right over here.
Yeah, that's what I was looking at.
Kind of funky. I think maybe we have a bad connection. So I'll make sure that we grab our zoom shot in the nice spot of it. So we'll zoom this right here. And now we're looking at the green signal, right? Yeah, the green is the exhaust. And I'm going to count. I'm going to find those same 1, 2, 3 humps and then just go on the leading edge of this one right here. So right there. And then I'll go on the leading edge of this crankshaft signal right here. And we have 35 milliseconds. Everybody see that? What's happening? On the exhaust. So the exhaust is green. The intake is red. And so we're just, so you see the 3 humps that's catching, right? 1, 2, 3 right there on the exhaust. And then it skips, and 1, 2, 3, and then it skips 1, 2, 3. And then we know that's a full rotation because we have on the crank side, you have 1, 2, 1, 2, right? So there's 2 rotations of the crank, 1 of the camshaft. So there's 2 rotations of the crank to 3 of those. So they each mean 1 360-degree revolution. So that's 35 milliseconds. So we go to the second waveform where we activated it. Get rid of this zoom. Our crank got all funky right there. We know somewhere, man, our crank was just not pretty right there on any of this whole entire line. We'll try it right here. Let's see what happens.
But it's
yeah, maybe we should redo it and make sure that thing's
yeah, I'm
in there right. Let's do it.
Oh, you think just the pin backed out?
Yeah, I think just the pin backed out. All right, go ahead and fire it up. I was kind of waving it right there. Okay, it looks pretty good. So go ahead and activate it. Okay, 3, 2, 1, activate. So we're on waveform 3. It's activated. All right, go ahead and shut it off. So waveform 3, excuse me. Waveform 3 was activated. We're going to go back to the same green one right here. So the leading edge right there to the leading edge of, I did that side, right? Or this side?
Front side.
The front side?
Yeah, left. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's 36 milliseconds. So it was not activated. So we could do the same thing just on this waveform right here. It was not activated, say right here after it fired up. And we can go measure it on the, so from right there to the front side of right there, and we're at 36 milliseconds. So we're not getting the exhaust, does not change the idle when we activate it, and it does not change the position of the camshaft to crankshaft correlation when we activate it. The intake cam does change the position when we activate it. So then, after we saw that, we went over to the handy dandy FLIR, and we looked at the intake VVT solenoid and the exhaust VVT solenoid, and the intake was at 190 degrees, and it was in a very specific location. It was like right between the two mounting bolts on the front. You had to kind of like look low. It was 190 degrees right here. On the exhaust is only 150 degrees. So 40 degrees less. So we are assuming, so we don't have any oil flow. So there's no oil running through the solenoid. The cam timing's not moving. So then
you have a fault stored though, right?
Yeah, we have a fault stored.
It may not.
P0014. It's just not achieving its timing mark, the exhaust cam.
Well, so it's over advanced is the fault code, right? And then so when it's activated, the exhaust cam advances, correct? And the intake cam retards?
No. I can't hear you.
Intake cam should advance, exhaust cam should retard.
So Felipe said the exhaust should retard, the intake should advance.
Okay, so how does that square with the activation of the intake camshaft being less time if we're measuring off the crank?
Yeah,
so if it's advanced, wouldn't it move away?
It's getting close. It's getting closer when it's activated, right?
Right.
Hold on, we're talking about the intake or the exhaust?
Intake right now, because it's the only one that activated.
On an intake cam on a default position when it's just stationed on car off, the default position of that cam is in the retard position for start mode. Once it starts, then we start advancing the intake cam, correct?
I'm not seeing that here, because when we were activating it, it's getting closer to the crank position, right? Not farther away.
So on an exhaust cam,
All right, hold on.
If it's
No,
sta-
because the intake is, I think the exhaust is a negative value, and the intake
and it
is a
wants to
positive
get
value.
to 0, which would advance, right? I have the impression that on a default, when a cam, an exhaust cam is sitting in its default position, it's sitting advanced, and the intake is sitting retard, and then when it starts, they go up. So now they're centered.
Well, they should be locked,
Position.
right?
Exhaust
When they're
and intake, if both are actuating, or if both have VVTs on them.
so they should be locked, right? The sprocket should be locked to the cam.
Yeah.
All right, so that's going to be their base timing configuration, right?
I'm
Okay.
hoping. I don't.
And when they're activated, oil is applied to the vein so it can move. It can actually move it. Isn't it right in the middle? Right? It can move one way or the other. It's got a 20 degrees of movement, I think. I'm not sure what Volvo has here. I was trying to pull that
But
up.
just generic talk, like we can assume, right, that the way it starts up.
No, I would assume that if I was going to assume anything, I'm going to assume that it's in the 0 position.
Okay.
Locked to base timing. So that if there's a fault, it's going to just drop into base timing. Wouldn't that make sense? We could, do we have a functional description for this? Let's see here.
No, the description.
A functional description of the code.
No, of the operation of the VVT for this engine. The
Here. Look at. He's looking it up right there.
perfect. So we're,
No.
and I'm not sure. It's my opinion that I don't think that it'll activate that. Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to talk over you. I was looking over here. Go ahead.
No, you're good. No.
I would assume that it's. If I was going to assume anything, I would assume that it's probably not going to activate the exhaust cam since there's an active fault for it, right? So that's just going to be locked out. You would have to clear the fault, and then it would have to see that it was fault free, and then it would run the test because it's not going to try and activate something if it's, especially with timing, because this is an interference engine, correct?
Yeah.
Sure.
No. So yeah. So that's a great point. So I think it still has does it have an active code in it? Yeah, I think it does. We could clear it and then try to do it again. See if something.
Gianni, how quickly does this fault return? I didn't make note of that last time.
It takes a little while of driving. It takes a couple trips and 10 to 30 miles.
Okay. I would, and then when you clear the fault, does it clear the cam adaptations or adaptations stay?
They stay the same. Yeah, so they stay the same.
Okay. And what is I think you sent me some adaptation values because you guys had the sample car there the other day, right?
Yeah. We had the adaptation value on that piece of paper. You still got the piece of paper?
Yeah, I got that. I got a picture of it here. I was just trying to find that. I had it up. All right. All right, I got it right here. So adaptation. So exhaust nominal value 0. Shaft angle 0.8. Adaptation. Okay. Exhaust adaptation is 7508. Is that?
Yeah, and then it said CA next to it in the scan
Crank
tool.
angle.
Like, yeah. So 78 degrees of crank angle.
Yeah. And then intake adaptation was 41.56.
Yeah.
Okay. And that was on the good car, right?
No, 41 was on this car here today. The sample car was at 45,
Oh, wait a minute.
and the exhaust was 73.
Cam position is 41.57. Cam adaptation was 41.56. Nominal value was 0. Intake shaft angle 0.03. Is that okay?
Yeah, I don't know what 0.08 of exhaust shift angle. What's exhaust shift angle? I don't even know what crank angle. Like what's exhaust adaptation crank angle?
Well, the adaptation angle for the cams is going to be the offset from the 0 position to the crankshaft 0 position. And I think the adaptation for this, the value is 54. If I remember, I thought I saw that. All right, let me get back out of here. I was in the fault description stuff. But so the numbers on the paper are the sample car. Is that correct?
Well, it's both cars.
Okay, it's both cars.
The one that's on the left is the customer name.
Oh, okay, got it. All right.
And that's our car. That's our car that's here.
Yeah, I zoomed in too much, so I kept shifting side to side on the column. Okay, got it. 41.5. So there's a 4-degree difference on the intake between the two.
Yep.
And a about 4-degree difference on the it's more like 2 degrees on the exhaust, right? Yeah, 75.08 to 73.43.
Yep.
So that's going to be this 0. Okay, so this offset shaft angle 0.20. Okay.
You see anything over there, Felipe? 4204.
Okay, so that's 5, 6. I think there had to be like an 8-degree difference. Plus or minus 8 degrees was the fault threshold inside of there. So that would be 8 degrees is about a tooth on a belt.
Well, Felipe is still looking at that stuff. I'm thinking because we don't have. So then we tested the signal going to each VVT solenoid.
Yeah.
And when it grounded out, the one on the exhaust cam, the one that does not move, it grounds out. Both wires were at B+, and then the one wire grounded out. It went down to like about a 0.5 volt. And, we got nothing, no change, no RPM change. That's the one that does not move. So the DME sent the signal all the way up to the valve. And then when we did it on the intake, it was weird. The signal on they were both B plus signals, but one of them was like had this funky. It was almost like a signal. It was like going from power to ground, like really fast.
On the VVT solenoid, right?
On the VVT solenoid, only on the intake camshaft.
Okay.
And then when it grounded, that signal that was really funky, that B plus grounded, it went down to 690 millivolts, and you heard the engine die down a little tiny bit, and we knew it was working.
Okay. So here, this is where this is the same operation that happens with BMW, and you guys did that a little bit of I think a few months ago you did variable valve timing. So that square wave that's happening really fast, that's actually it's pulse width modulating the solenoid, right? So it's modulating the amount of time it's actually opening. Instead of just grounding it, it's open all the time. It's opening it, at a duty cycle of 20%, 50%, so that it's controlling the oil flow and how much movement is in the actuator, right? So we have oil moving, pressurized oil coming in and moving against a vane inside of that phaser, and on the other side, there's oil on the other side of that vane that is also releasing and coming back. So that 3 two-way valve controls the inlet and the outlet of the oil in that phaser. So it's pulse width modulating it and moving it, and then it'll hold. Right? It'll hold it there, and then it'll move a little more, or it'll bring it back. So that's the engine control module putting it where it wants it to be, whether it's a correction, due to the adaptation, or if you're, when you're rolling into, when you're accelerating, it's not like it sits here and then just goes boink, drops all the way to the maximum. It kind of rolls with load, right, all the way to the end stop of its movement through the calculated load or load map, if you will. So that's that pulse width modulation is on that solenoid. It is the actual control, which brings me back to thinking that the lock position is going to be the 0 point, and then the adjustment probably has a little bit to the left side of the lock, and then most of it to the direction that it's going to adapt to, or move to, whether it's advance or retard. So when you're looking at the values on the scan tool, where does it show the cam position, intake cam and exhaust cam? Is the intake cam positive?
I think they were both positive, right? Hold on, Felipe found something.
Okay.
Here, read it, Felipe. Hold on, with the mic.
It says with both intake and exhaust camshafts, adjustable opening times with hydraulic controlled VVT units, which this is. It says the intake camshaft unit is adjusted within the range of approximately 50 crankshaft degrees, and the exhaust camshaft 30 degrees without oil pressure with the VVT unit locked.
Oh, so that's the position in relationship to it.
Yeah. So initially, if you start the car and we disconnect both solenoids off of it, we should be sitting at approximately 50 degrees on the intake and at 30 degrees on the exhaust, right?
Yeah, that's from TDC, right, or from 0 at TDC. Does it indicate that the timing mark is at TDC, or is it offset?
Can you say that again? What did you say?
So the 0 mark is that actually our reference point for electronic control? Because sometimes it's offset. It won't actually be 0. That the mark that we're seeing, the missing teeth on the crankshaft, could be offset 15 degrees or 45 degrees.
1.5 degrees.
Approximately.
Approximately 1.5 degrees, it says.
Oh, so that's the space, 1.5 degrees.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. All right.
No,
All right. So
oh, it just
so
says
that's
clear
1.5 degrees. So if we're
position. We'll give you about 1.5 degrees.
all right. So what's our actual? Let's look at the value. Let's take a look at it. With the scan data, can we see that? I don't think I downloaded the team viewer. Okay, so in the lower right corner of the Pico here, if we move the zoom in window, oh man, I wish I could grab that.
Can you say that again? I can't. We can't hear the engine running now.
Okay, on the Pico scope, can you move the zoom window up a little bit?
The zoom window.
Yeah, down in the lower right corner, the dialog box for zoom.
Yeah, just get the window out of the way.
Yeah, or minimize it or something. Yeah. Okay.
Like that.
Yeah, and then see in the lower right corner, there was markers for
the degree.
for degrees. Yeah.
Yeah, they're there.
Okay, can we pull those over?
Yeah. And then where do you want to put them? Just on the crank.
We can put them on the crank, and then on the cam position, whichever one we were looking at. So we could look at the one. Okay, so that's our 0,
okay,
right?
so right there.
Yeah, that'll be 0. And then you're going to want to make a phase. Yeah, right there. Yeah.
Right there.
All right. So now you can take your markers. See, now you've got degrees on your markers, your dotted ones,
Shut it off.
not just time.
Hold on. We're going to shut the engine off because we can barely
Okay.
hear you.
All right.
Okay. Come again.
Oh, so I was saying that you've got the degrees on the markers now. You see you're down here there. You got 0 sitting there, and then so you should move that around, and you should be able to see. You should be able to compare, the position that it's actually in to what this scan tool is saying.
All right.
So this one might be. So you might have one in the wrong. You might have to move over one more phase because you might be 180 out. Would that make sense? Because if it was here,
we could do. I mean, we could do that.
Is it 180 out? Right there.
I could put that one there.
And just
and put that one there.
And now where does that drop us here? So there's our 3. So come on back to. So that's what's so the green one is the what? That's the exhaust?
The green is exhaust, red is intake.
Okay, so the green one is actually how many degrees before 0? If you look at the 3 starts, the 3 humps here, it's actually before 0, right? So that would make it advanced. Right there?
So you got this green one right here and then 2 to the right of it.
Yep. So it's advanced how many degrees? It's so if you move that cursor, you move that, Yep.
But where do you put the cursor at?
Right on the front edge of that first green slope right there.
Over
right?
here?
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's 5 28 7. So that's 7. You guys are mathing me out here. 20 is it? 5. Okay, that's 8, 12, 7, 6, 168. All right. So what if you move it over? Because you don't have that whole thing again, do you? The whole thing doesn't happen inside of the phase. You don't have another 3 humps on the exhaust.
No, just these 3 right here, and then that took 2 crank angle, 2 crankshafts, and then 3 start over again. Come on, move that out of the way. And then 3 start over again, and then there's 2 more cranks down here.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's 700. That's 1 crank camshaft rotation.
So we should see the entire event repeat inside of that phase. Does it? I guess it does. Yeah. 3.
Yeah, it does.
Okay. Inside of the phase. Okay.
Yeah, because there's like 2 high ones right here, a low one, and then 1 more high one.
All right.
And then the same thing again. It's like 2 highs, a low, and then a high.
Okay. And then on the intake, we see a low and then 3 highs, and that's it, right?
On the intake, yeah, there's a low and then 3 highs inside there. Yep.
So, and it looks like 0 cuts the exhaust, that first low, or the low there, that right where 0 is, and the green. Does it cut it right in half? I mean, exactly in half?
No, it's not exactly in half. I mean, we could go like this, and it's
All right. Okay. So let's do that. Let's move that our 0 then. Our cursor, not our 0, not the 0. No, leave the 0 there. But I mean the cursor that's left of 0, our marker. Let's move that one over to the first part of the first upstroke of the green cam. Yeah. Where's
this one?
that at? Yeah. What does that sit? That is 11.8 degrees. All right.
Yeah. 11.8. Yep.
So that'd be 11.8 after 0. 8 degrees, or 11.8 degrees of 0. 0.8 degrees. All right, and then where's our intake sitting on that? That's our first up phase is right there, right next to it.
Yeah. So the first up phase, but it'd be the second. It would be
the second event.
Phase. It'd be so the first up is right here.
They're actually lining up. They're actually lining up with each other right there at 11.8 degrees, right? One's going down, one's going up at 11.8.
Yes. Yeah. The green one's going up, and then the red one's going down. Yes.
Okay. So it is, but there's a difference in those two, right? They're not actually on top of each other.
No, they're not.
So what's that difference? It should be right there. You've got the marker right on it. There's a difference of 5 degrees, right?
Yeah.
One's at 17. Okay. All right. So one's at 16.8. That's going to be your exhaust. And then the intake is 11.8. You got a 5 degree difference. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And then let me look at that piece of paper again at our sample car. Let's see here. Okay. So 45. From zero, we're measuring 16. All right. Okay. So and this is activated or not activated. This is just running, right? This is our base, this
is just running, idling, and we're zoomed in right after the car started, because you can see in the zoom bar.
Oh yeah.
The first half of 10-second run is all at 0.
Okay. So this could change a little bit once it's got a couple more revolutions in there. If we were in the first 10 or 15 revolutions.
Yeah, I don't know exactly where. I think we're somewhere right over. Yeah, we're right there. See where the cursor is right here?
Okay.
So we're like
It's running.
at the 8-second mark.
Okay.
It's been running for 4 seconds roughly.
Okay. Yeah. All right. I mean,
And the car's warm.
yeah. All right. So we got 16.8, 11.8, 16.8. Oh, well, look at that. 720 minus 552 is 168. So 16.8. Okay. All right. And then what is just looking here. That's interesting. All right. 16. I'm just trying to put this together here, just to see what we got. Okay, so this is not adjusted, and then when we go to the adjusted side, because since the intake's the only one that's adjusting, what does it do? It's going to move closer to 0. Correct? Comes back. It retards. No, it advances. Advances. Right. It's going to be moving toward 0. All right, and what does the scan data say as far as its position? That's where we were. Yeah, sorry, I stopped you because you had the car running, and
Yeah, go ahead and fire it up.
Yeah, I thought you were gonna pull that in earlier. Those degrees. Then you could look at that advance. You do the same with the timing advance too, since you have an ignition mark on there, just as a cross reference.
All right, so the intake cam right now is 42 degrees.
Okay, 42 degrees
of crank angle.
Okay.
What's the exhaust? I don't. Oh, yeah, and the exhaust is 75. So it's the same thing as what the numbers that we told you before.
Right.
Are the same.
Okay.
Roughly.
So the exhaust is retarded, right? Because it's further out from 0. Intake. So the intake retards and it goes close, or no, it goes away. No, it comes closer. So it's advancing.
No, advance is negative.
So when the intake is activated, that gap shortens up. So it advances the intake cam. Is that correct?
When the intake is activated,
Yeah.
the time gets less.
Right.
To the crankshaft.
Right.
So it'd be closer.
Yeah, so it'd be advancing, right?
Advancing.
Is that correct? I mean, it's getting closer to 0, not after 0, but before.
Yeah.
So it's getting closer to 0. That's. Oh man, I'm yeah. All right.
Well, it might be getting closer. It might be getting closer. It might be retarding getting closer to 0. Right? And advancing would be getting further away. I don't know. I don't know how to think of it like that.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. No, did we just mind melded myself for a second there. When we advance the cam, we actually move it so that we're opening it more before 0 arrives, right? So we're gonna open it before arrives. 0 would come closer. That would actually be retarding it. So it's backwards. I'm backwards on that. if we advance the cam, roll it so it opens the valve sooner, which means you have to roll it away from zero. It has to go ahead. It has to go away from zero to get the valve open before zero comes over. So yeah. So, and we're bringing it closer. So we're retarding the intake. Right. Like Gianni said. Okay, so let's if you activate it, can you look at the scan data and verify that?
No, it won't let you. It won't let you look at it at the same time.
Okay.
It just gives you a 50% or a 100%, and then you have to get out of the screen.
Okay. So it does 50% and 100%. So when it's sitting there, it's at 50%.
Well, I don't know. We haven't done the 50%, but we do have a power probe here ready.
Do it.
To,
Oh yeah.
you know, do some other stuff.
And they do
I
move
can tell you
independently.
this: if we hit 100%, it took all the duty cycle out of the signal and it grounded it.
Right.
When we watched it with a Pico. Now we could see which one is grounding on the exhaust side, and we could ground it with the power probe.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's not going to tell us anything. It's not going to do anything.
You can look at the live data while you're doing that.
Oh yeah. We could look at the live data while we do that. Okay. Let's see which one was it that grounded? Do you remember?
You asking me?
Okay. Okay, so we just pulled the ignition side off and the crank off. And I'm going to restart all this, pull the attenuator off. Probes times 1, 20 volts. Hit play. Escape out of there. Escape out of there. What's our blue line doing? Okay, no, it's right now. It's the blue line is being activated right now. So we stop it. Yeah. So here is the so that blue line right there is on the VVT solenoid on the intake side. The yellow line is also the other side of it. The yellow line here, let's get rid of the red and the green. The yellow line's sitting at charging voltage. And then the same thing with the blue line, but it keeps on getting grounded with this frequency down here.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead and activate the intake, and then we could watch it. Go like this, go like this. Go. Okay, so we just activated the intake. Go ahead and shut it off.
Okay.
And we could see that our blue line just like went all the way down. Oh, that's the wrong color. Our blue line went down to 0.6 volts while it did that. And then it went right back up to this pattern. When we let off,
which
it
is
went
essentially
back
off,
to
right? So that's
that.
like zero activation. So it's got a little pulsing going on there, maybe 90% off.
Okay, so go back into live data. So we can ground the blue line. We can take this blue line and then just ground it with the power probe, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, but don't ground it yet. And don't put power to it. Inlet cam adaptation or position. Okay, go ahead and ground it. I'm watching it. It's at 42 degrees right now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so do it for like a second. Let's see what happens. 73, 87. Okay, that's good. 92, 54. Yeah, there the car's starting to run funky. 92. It's jump between 92 and 42. So it jumped like 50 degrees.
Yeah. Okay, so, and then if you do that on the exhaust, will it go back?
We could also do the exhaust.
Mhm.
Where's the flashlight? Here, just pull this guy. Stab that right in there. Okay. And I think we were using the other one to just stab. Here, just stab this guy. And then no, we don't know. Don't.
I'm trying to make sure you get power.
Yeah. Hook. Where's our loose? Hook that up to that. Okay, close that. So we have on, now we're on the exhaust. We've got 14 volts there. We've got 14 volts there. So now go ahead and activate with this. We need to know which one grounds.
The blue is going to ground.
All right. Okay, so we activate it. Yes, Gianni is correct. The blue one grounded. And the blue one went down to 0.6 volts. So we could ground that one. Outlet cam adaptation or angle? We're looking for angle.
Angle. Yeah, and it should be, I think I'm expecting
Well, the
it
other
to
one
go
had
to
two.
25.
No, on the intake, not the exhaust.
Yeah.
It gives us is 3 for the outlets. So watch. It only gives us 3.
Okay.
But I have them all up.
So what's that?
Okay. Go ahead and so right now it's the outlet camshaft adaptation is 75 degrees.
Okay, so weren't we looking at the angle though?
The what?
Weren't we looking at the angle last time?
We were, but there's no angle. It doesn't show the same figure on the inlet, on the exhaust.
On the exhaust?
Yeah, it's different. It's showing outlet camshaft adaptation, outlet camshaft shifting angle, which it doesn't show that on the other, and then camshaft shifting angle nominal value.
Let's look at the shifting angle and nominal value.
And the adaptation right now is actually moving. It's moving a couple hundredths of a point here and there.
Back and forth?
Yeah, just back and forth.
Okay.
So it
look at-
should.
I want to see the shifting angle, what it does.
So let's ground it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So the engine RPM is not changing, and the adaption and the shifting angle is also not changing.
Nothing's changing. What if you ground the other one?
The what?
So you have two. So you're grounding. You guys were determining which wire to ground, right?
Correct. Yeah.
What if you flip flop it?
Oh, ground the other one?
Yeah, because they're
Yeah, I
both
just
at
don't wanna-
14.
Yeah, they're both at 40. I just didn't want to let the smoke out of the box, you know?
Yeah. Well, there is 600 volts left over, so that's the resistor in the circuit.
600 volts left over?
Or sorry, 600 millivolts. Sorry, 600 millivolts left over. Like when you ground it, it doesn't go to ground. It goes
Correct.
600 millivolts, right?
So
that's
correct. Yeah.
So that's a load in the circuit. So
Yeah. Same thing on the intake side.
Yeah, I mean, I think you could. I don't think it really. It actually doesn't really matter. Now I think about it, yeah, it doesn't matter. It's. Yeah. So it's just not moving, even when even if it was activated. So when you activate it, does it show that? I mean, if you're looking at that signal, does it show that it's activating?
Yeah, it shows exactly nothing's happening.
You mean like in the activation screen?
No, on the scope. When can you see the solenoid being activated? Did the pulse width or the duty cycle changing on the control solenoid?
Yeah, you could see it. No, so it doesn't have a duty cycle like how the intake has a duty cycle when it's idling. But when you activate it and you're watching it with a scope, it goes down to 600. Yeah, the DME control says to go, to ground.
Okay.
It goes down to 600 millivolts.
But nothing changes.
Nothing changes.
Okay. I think that's key right there. So the control side is telling it to do something and 0 is happening.
Yes. Correct.
Okay. All right.
So then we looked at it with the infrared, and the infrared was 40 degrees cooler than the intake. So like no hot oil was flowing through it.
That sounds like there's a restriction in that circuit.
Yeah, there's either there's a huge restriction, or there's just like no, like I'm almost thinking like that little ring that holds oil back between the two cam journals, one on one side and one on the other.
Just leaking out.
I'm thinking that one of those rings is like cracked or something, and it's just like dumping the oil out of the side of the cam before it can ever even get into that solenoid.
Right. It's not, there's no oil to move anything. I think that's what you're looking at. You're looking at some kind of mechanical issue. This is not a control issue at all. Control is solely in control.
Yeah.
So are those Teflon seals, or are they the steel rings?
We don't know. The parts fish are. It shows a breakdown of everything, but you don't get to buy anything without a camshaft.
Oh,
so it's like this clamshell bearing, and then a ring, and a camshaft, only available with the camshaft.
Oh, well, that makes it easy. We don't even need to go any further with diagnosis. It just needs a camshaft.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, if I'd have known that from the get-go, we would have been done like 45 minutes ago. Needs a camshaft.
Yeah. So I guess right now, but at least we know that the DME is controlling it when it's told to ground it. Nothing's moving, nothing's happening, no oil flow is happening because we're not getting a temperature rise. It doesn't, the engine operation doesn't change, the idle doesn't change.
The adaptation is different between your donor car or your sample car and your problem car, but 5 degrees. I think was it Jose that found the detail? I think it should tell you what the fault threshold is, plus or minus. I think it's plus or minus 8.
Yeah, what was it? What was the default criteria?
The adaptation deviation.
Lock position 1.5 degrees. I don't know what that means.
So that's that position where it's locked, where the phaser locks to the cam, right? So I said it's going to lock to its base timing position, but there's always going to be a cushion, so it's never going to be at 0. There's going to be like 1.5 degrees, right? So you've got to have oil on the other side a little bit, and that solenoid is a 3-2-way valve, so it's opening and letting oil in. It's also letting oil out.
Yeah.
So as it slides. So
I guess the next step is to take the cam cover off of the top of this thing and inspect the cam bearing.
And this is the one that has the pink glue between the two. You got to glue the.
It's glue. Is it pink? No, it's. I don't know. It looks just kind of gray.
I remember that. Okay, I remember then like the 960 had the pink glue between the two pieces.
Oh yeah. I don't know what the 960 had.
That's old.
The anaerobic. Yeah, it's got some it's anaerobic sealer.
Okay.
It's got 20. It's got 26 bolts holding it down.
Ooh, nice.
So there's a bunch of bolts.
And probably a pretty nice elaborate sequence of torque.
Yeah.
I mean, that's basically. Are you guys feeling good about putting a cam in there? Because I am.
I'm feeling good about inspecting it. I'm feeling good about removing the cover to inspect the cam. Yes. Yeah, needs an engine.
How much is a cam?
I didn't get the price on the part number for the cam. I don't know. And so we're also gonna need the actual cam bearing, the cam bearing, which it looks like it's there's one clamshell bearing around the front of that cam. And I don't know how it locks in through the head. If the head's the actual bearing, it is on the rest of it. I
think it is. Is that like a thrust bearing maybe?
It looks just like a regular old big giant clamshell main bearing. It looks just like I don't think it's a thrust bearing. It's not just like a little slide fork thrust bearing.
Oh, so maybe those ears are what's keeping the oil in that circuit.
Yeah.
But it's got rings on either side. It's got rings. So
it has rings on each side, yeah. So let's take it off and see what's happening. That's
okay.
We've just proven everything else.
We didn't get anybody else's opinion in the group. It'd be nice to know what.
All right. Here, Felipe's got the easiest one.
Drive it off the cliff. There's a beach right there. Everything got proved out. PCM got proved out that it's okay. We tried to prove out we had mechanical flow, but we don't. So we have a mechanical issue there because we already proved out the component is good by swapping it and putting a new one in. VVT obviously got switched out, so we have a new component there. And we just verified again that the PCM is working. So it goes back to mechanical or flow to the VVT to control it.
Yeah, it's either mechanical restriction or mechanical defect.
Yeah, either take the cam cover and inspect, but even in inspecting, my thing is even taking it off and inspecting, if we find material or find something in there, it already went through that engine. It's been in that engine. So what do we put a Band-Aid on it and then hope that material doesn't wash out another bearing or wash out anything else in that aspect and cause another issue? That's why I said we just replace the engine, because now You take the X factor of it coming back, causing another issue, and now we're just chasing our tail from the original issue.
I'm picking up what you're putting down. I'd like to see what's going on there. If it's a Teflon seal that's failed, that's already gone. I mean, it's in the pan, or stuck to the pickup screen of the oil pump, and that's not going anywhere. Maybe it'll come out at the next oil change. Yeah.
He found oil or metal in the oil.
That's right. I asked him what was in there. How big? There's little filings,
I don't. There you go.
or was it just disco? Or
I sent you the picture, so
that's right, you did.
dig back in my notes. It was slivery.
Little slivers of aluminum, right?
Sure.
It didn't get picked up with a magnet, and it wasn't bronze color. It was
No. I tried that. No.
Yeah, and it wasn't bronze color. It's silver. I'll have to look at that picture again. But yeah, that's
I used a clean bottle that I cut open, that I dumped the oil filter cartridge out into, and that's everything that was in the cartridge.
right.
Swirled a magnet in there, and nothing was getting picked up. So
Yeah,
it's like bearing material.
but it was pretty suspended, right? It was kind of suspended in there. It wasn't really like slivers. It was just suspended. I'm trying to remember. I gotta find that picture.
Yeah, I was looking inside the paper element too. It's just kind of all up in there.
Okay, I got the text from you. Let me look at that again. We should put that together. We should put together a little case study on this, all the stuff that we've gathered so far, because this is looking pretty good. And then it's all in one place. I don't have to go search for it. All right, we're overtime, guys.
Yep. All right. Well, thank you, Eric.
All right. I look forward to the conclusion of this story.
Yeah. Warranty. We're gonna take the cam cover off and check it out.
I think that's it. Yeah, it's definitely mechanical. So, all right, guys, I got to jump over. I got to get on a Vanquish. Have
Thank
a good
you.
one. Bye.
Thank you very much.